One team is going to come out of that stadium, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, feeling very good about what it accomplished on Sunday night. San Francisco taking on Kansas City, Super Bowl 58, and someone I'm so honored to be joined by someone who has seen many Super Bowls. As a matter of fact, what number is this for you? What number, Super Bowl number,
Michael,
what for you?
Can you believe it, for a guy who didn't play football, not in your shape now, even now, but basketball was my deal up at Harvard in the New England area, of course. This will be number 12. Bobby Mitchell, remember that name?
Oh, of course, yeah, running back.
Bobby Mitchell was the one who taught me the game when I was working at CBS the first time around a number of years ago. And my boss said, you need to make certain that you have some familiarity and experience in the big sports like football. So I had to go learn football. Bobby Mitchell gave me the basics of that, and who would have thunk it? The 12th Super Bowl. So I'm truly humbled. Mm-hmm.
And I'm humbled to be here, and we're all really blessed to have you here. Award-winning, and I can't even say you're an award-winning broadcaster. I can't even name all the awards. I saw the one you got in October from the National Association of Broadcasters.
That was awesome.
That was, and I love the story because we can talk about football all day, but I like the story that you told. There was an interviewer who wrote about you and said that you always valued treating people well. You wanted to have the platform, and if you ever got a platform, you were going to make sure that you brought some positivity and some joy to people. So tell us about that, like how that became your approach and your perspective.
And I'm sure not different than the way you've been raised as well, too. There are some seminal experiences that you have that leave an indelible impression. Michael, I remember when I was doing work as the analyst for the Washington then named Bullets. And after a loss, I remember the players coming out of the building, and there were some kids out there with their pens and paper and things to be autographed. And there's one player, one of the stars, unnamed, will I leave it? And as he walked by the kid who had this big smile on his face, his eyes of excitement and anticipation, and he just knocked the paper and pen out of his hand and went on to the bus. The kid's face was crestfallen. Wes Unseld came behind him, God bless him, and Wes spent time, told the bus to wait. He signed the autograph, had a conversation with the kid, lifted his spirits. And I said, you know what, if I'm ever in some kind of visible fashion on some kind of a visible platform, I'm going to make certain to treat people right. It is who I am now as a result of the kind of things I've been doing ministerially, but I've never lost sight of that. And thank you very much for bringing that up, because when they called me up to the stage for that award, Michael, I had no idea what I was going to say. I fretted with that. And, we're accustomed to being prepared and organized, systematic and succinct. I didn't know what I was going to say until I got up there. And, of course, it was a kind of a tear-laden kind of a deal. But that was a very humbling experience. And to hear that somebody, did a story after that, yeah.
And that's great. And when we talk about football, we talk about the 49ers and the Chiefs. There's lots of football. There's stories on the field. But I know you mentioned ministerially some of the things that are moving you. I know you've talked to teams. That teams have asked you to come in. What does that mean to you? Like having somebody say, hey, give us a word.
You know what? We're all influenced somehow. I don't go around trying to beat people over the head with the Bible. I try to just walk it and live it. I don't know to whom this ought to be given the credit. Some say St. Francis of Assisi. The expression, many people would prefer to see a good sermon before they even hear one. There's a message I heard many years ago when I was working at Fox out on the West Coast, and it was a athletically themed, biblically sound message entitled, Break the Huddle and Run the Play. Apt description of what we're to be doing in the game of life. Those are the kind of messages that I've shared in the chapel services with a number of teams that have invited me to do that, and I'm humbled to have been able to and continue to do that, because there is a need by so many athletes that way. We just see them as these automatons out there and not recognizing the needs that they have too. And I know you know that very well.
That's right. It's great. When you look at these teams, and we talked about the game for a second, what jumps out at you when you look at San Francisco, when you look at Kansas City? Is it the quarterbacks? Is it the coaches? What really stands out to you?
Well, and you know what? And it's all of that. I guess, look, on a superficial level, we all understand the top line stories. I mean, if you look at Kansas City, they're probably the team of the half decade in a league that is designed for parity to keep those fan bases involved all the way to the end of the season if they can, and it's offensively oriented. Clearly, it's a quarterback-driven league. Patrick Mahomes, he's the best in the league, has been for a while in my mind. He's there. His offense really didn't find themselves until about Michael, 3/4 of the way in the season. It was the defense that carried them this way. But now they've got a couple folks who've stepped up. Rashee Rice, the young wide receiver. Isaiah Pacheco, they like to say he runs angry. He likes to say I run with a purpose. But that has opened things up to allow Travis Kelce, who just runs off script, and the mental telepathy between he and Patrick Mahomes for him, Travis Kelce, to sit down in an open space. That maybe is getting too granular. That's on the Kansas City side. Mahomes looking for his 3rd Super Bowl win, under 30, my gosh. On the San Francisco side, I think they've got the better team talent-wise. They've got a lot of Swiss Army knives, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, multiply talented guys that you can move around to a number of different places. But the quarterback clearly has to be the story in Brock Purdy. We all know the story, Mr. Irrelevant. But Michael, one of the things that kind of, and I use this word advisedly, irks me is so many people are trying to deconstruct what he isn't, versus giving him credit
to
what he is, and he's got the team here.
That's what I said. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to him after those playoff games, 2 playoff games that were underwhelming at times.
Understand. He's only, second year in the league, still learning.
But he figured it out at the right times against Green Bay, and against Detroit. He made some plays with his legs.
Operative word, figured it out. Don't you want to see that happening at the QB spot, Michael?
I would love to see. Some good, just some good play. Like the Super Bowls lately have been some pretty competitive games. I mean, last year's Super Bowl.
We always want that.
Last year's Super Bowl was fantastic. I mean, you're seeing a lot of stuff that.
Hey, don't think we aren't all pulling for that as well too.
Right,
John Madden, whom we all were trained by. John Madden says, I understand all of the hoopla, the pomp and circumstance surrounding the game. But the game is the thing, and we want it to be competitive. That will ensure the ratings stay high and the excitement is there. On paper, it looks good, but as you well know, as the old expression goes, they don't play the game on paper, so let's see what happens.
See, JB, I could talk to you forever, but they're telling me we got to rap.
They
got to rap. We got to keep up, because everybody wants to talk to you. That's what happens.
Well,
everybody here wants to talk to you.
Well, hey, but I'm here with you. Hey, and I will say this one, and you know this all too well, Michael. If you've got the right kind of leadership in place, head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they are some of the best strategists and tacticians, especially those who can adjust to the second half. And in the case of Andy Reid with Kansas City, don't give him 2 weeks to prepare for anything. He's a master at it. I can't quantify the numbers, but he's one of the all-time greats, a surefire Hall of Famer. So I'm looking at the chess match that will be taking place and who makes the second half adjustments as well.
James Brown.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Michael, appreciate and respect you, sir.
All right. That means a lot. Thank you. The one and only James Brown, everybody.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.